Hey everyone, it is Tanya. Welcome back to the channel, or welcome if you are new here. Today I'm back with another speed build, and this is going to be an autumn-inspired build, as today is the first day of autumn in the Northern Hemisphere. So happy fall, y'all! This is my favorite season of the year, and I always try to incorporate some of that joy into my builds. So I just really wanted to create something that was kind of over the top autumn. It's not overly covered in pumpkins or Halloween decorations. There are a couple of pumpkins here and there, but the color scheme is so autumn. So I really hope you will enjoy how this build came out. I had a blast with it. If you do and you'd like to download it for yourself, it's available right now on the Sims 4 gallery. You can find it under my EA ID, which is Gryphi, Gryphi. You can also find it under the hashtag Gryphi, and that information will be in the description down below as well. So you can see these shapes starting to come together here. I feel like it's a pretty simple shape, and I was very much inspired by New England for this build because I'm from New England, and when I think of autumn, I specifically think of this area. And it's also apparently an area a lot of people throughout the US think of because we have very beautiful, vibrant leaves, and it's just like such a cozy time of year here. So I am building in the world of Brindleton Bay, which is based off of New England. It came with the Cats and Dogs expansion pack, and I'm just kind of inspired by the houses I see in my own area. So that is what I was thinking of when I created this. And I really want to have this little walkway area that leads you over to a semi-detached garage. So it technically is connected by the walkway, but it's a separate building kind of. I don't know if that makes sense, but it's something I see a lot of. I've never actually been into a house that has this, but I see them all the time. So I really wanted to incorporate that into this build. And also right now I am building in the season of summer because I just went to work on the lot from the menu. I didn't have somebody moved in yet, so I didn't change it to fall till a little while later. I do it pretty early on though. But anyway, right now I am deciding to add walls to this little walkway area because I remembered we had these windows from Cats and Dogs that were perfect. They're basically open air archways, and I thought that they were absolutely beautiful. So I included those, and then I'm trying to figure out the windows upstairs. I considered using these ones from Get Famous and pairing them with some of the shutters from Horse Ranch, and I do end up using the shutters, but in the end, what I do is actually move the chimney over so it's not centered on that front wall, and I have a window over on the side. And most of the windows I used for this build are actually from businesses and hobbies for some reason. I just thought that they looked really nice here, and you'll see that in a little bit. And right now, I was really determined to make this house green, particularly this swatch of the base game paneling in this dark green. I really like it, and it's also the color of my childhood home, so it feels very nostalgic and autumn to me. But I didn't end up keeping it in the end. I tried a few different other greens and a bunch of different colors, and the house actually ends up being more of a beige with some brick accents. And I think that worked nicely because that means the outside is fairly neutral and can be decorated for whatever holiday and whatever color scheme you want without it being too much of a hassle. The inside is very color coordinated, but I think it could work anyway for any time of year. I used some color combinations inside that I haven't really used before, and it's a bit of fun. You'll see that in a little while. But yeah, the outside ends up being beige, unfortunately, but I do really love how this house came out, so I'm not too mad about it. Anyway, you can see the windows I ended up using now. I have these larger ones on the bottom floor and this more curved window on the top, and I just think they looked so nice with these shutters. I did end up scaling down the ones upstairs and using tulle to make them slightly different sizes, so that there weren't any clipping issues, and it was looking a little bit off balance at this point, so I was like, maybe I add some greenery or something, and that's when I remembered, oh wait, I should probably put this in fall so I can visualize that and actually feel like I'm building a fall house. That was the whole concept, but for some reason I hadn't done it yet. So I placed down some trellises on the front porch. There's actually going to be a lot of those around the house. There's going to be some on the chimney, some on the sides of the garage. They're going to be absolutely everywhere. And then the front of the home actually has way more structured landscaping. I have these shrubs everywhere, and I think they look quite nice having the bushes like that. I tend to go a little bit more natural with landscaping usually, and the backyard has a little bit of that, but for the most part, it's fairly structured in the front. I also tried so many different flower boxes, and none of them were feeling fall to me, but for some reason, I thought the best option was the base game ones with the flowers, so I ended up grabbing those. And a little bit of wisteria in the front of the house as well. And then I'm trying to pick out the front door. I ended up going with this one from the Discovery University expansion pack, and it actually ends up being on the side here, which I thought was a bit of fun, and then just kind of playing around where the windows are going to go versus where I have the trellises. And yeah, I just moved those over and I think it worked quite nicely. I don't think I end up putting anything on the front porch in the end, but it is fairly spacious if you do want to have like a sitting area out there or some sort of skill building items. There's space for that. I mostly put all of that kind of stuff in the backyard though. And here you can see me actually framing in the landscaping with these low-lying fences to add to that manicured look. And I'm going to be changing the tiling in the front to be a like gray stone instead to really match what I had going on with the rest of it. I thought that the brick was just a little bit too vibrant. And can we talk about the garage door I placed down? That is from, I believe, the Industrial Loft Kit, and it doesn't actually match any of the color swatches of the rest of the build. And I wasn't willing to change anything else. And I was like, you know what? I think it's fine. It's not a perfect match, but it's the exact style I wanted for the garage door. It just didn't come in the correct swatch. So hopefully it looks okay. I decided it was worth it to keep it there anyway, but you can let me know what you think. I also decided to add a dormer kind of last minute here because it felt like the roof was just a little bit too boring. So I added an additional like bump out over here, which added some extra space inside that actually ends up being in the primary bedroom. I think that's the room that ends up being either the bathroom or there's like a little walk-in closet spot. I think that's the bathroom. And then here are those trellis pieces I put on the front of the house. I just think they look so pretty. They add a lot to this home. And even though the house itself currently doesn't have any like autumnal accents, the style of it and the colors I chose really, I feel like, bring that idea of the season home. And then, of course, I'm adding in lots of trees and stuff now that are either red or yellow or a muted green as we head into that season. I don't know about you, but I just find this time of year to feel so cozy. I love when we get into the colder temperatures. I'm also just not a fan of summer, so getting out of that is always nice. And I'm a huge fan of Halloween and just everything associated with that. Actually, right now, to add to the cozy vibes, I have a candle warmer in my office and it is melting away at the, I think it's like Crisp Autumn Air or something like that scent. I got it last year at Bath & Body Works. And so that's filling the room while I do this voiceover, which is just like super perfect. And yeah, I am placing down a scarecrow. This is Patchy. He is from the Seasons expansion pack and you can get to know him and he will actually come to life and like work on your garden for you if you'd like. But I thought it'd be really cute to add him to the front yard. He's going to be actually tucked over into like the corner between the connection to the garage instead of right in the front. And then this is the fence I ended up using. I've never used this one before. It's in debug, but I was trying so hard to find a debug fence that I thought would look nice because I wanted it closer to the edge of the lot. And I decided on this one because it is like a really small fence and it ties in the black accents on the house. And I'm actually going to be lining some bushes behind that as well, which I think looks so, so nice. There was just something about this that made me really happy. And I felt like, oh, finally, the landscaping is starting to come together here. It's pretty simple. I don't do a ton of landscaping on this lot, and it looks like the mailman is just over in the corner. I did add some overgrown grass on the edge of the fence, though, and a couple of mushrooms and things like that. Just trying to get a couple of decorations. And then a couple of these pumpkins as well. These are the like real harvestable ones from Cottage Living. So I think they go bad over time, but I just thought they looked really cute. And then over here, I am extending the fence and doing this like curved portion, not really curved, angled portion to lead you to the side of the garage. So there's going to be a regular door there. I mean, they should be able to use the garage door because it's a functional one. It's not really a garage. It's just a sliding door from the Industrial Loft Kit. But I liked the idea of having a regular door to get into the garage as well. So I do put one over on the side here. And then there's also one that leads you into the house in that little pathway that is kind of blocked by a bunch of plants now. But it has lots of entrances and there's quite a few activities in the garage as well. I end up having laundry in there, woodworking. There's the like decoration box if you want to decorate for the different seasons. I believe there's a bike in there. There's also one outside that I'm placing here by the end of the driveway. And I also grabbed a car to put in the driveway, although I believe I moved that to the like street, parked in front of the street using the tool mod. So you'll see that disappear in a little while. And then up here, I wanted to add some more bump outs. At first, I had them all separate like this, but I actually ended up connecting them all in the end just because it looked a little bit better. And I wasn't really sure what the space was going to be yet, so it was easier to figure that out once I did the floor plan. Also, with some of these additions I made, I forgot to paint the outside or add roofing to parts of it until later on. So if you notice that, I apologize and it will get fixed. And this is where I finally extend the garage because right now it is so tiny and it has a very weird roof shape. But I liked that. I liked the quirky roof, and it's just a little bit different than anything I've ever built, really. But here I'm adding some more of the trellises to cover the section of the wall that doesn't have anything going on it. And I do that in quite a few places, and I feel like it just adds a lot of character to the build. I love the idea of a trellis like that. And then inside, I wanted to make sure that I actually put the fireplace where the chimney was. So it does end up being in that space. I'm going to change it to a different one. That's just a placeholder, as is pretty much all of the furniture I'm about to place down as I work on this floor plan. So you do enter into the living room, and then there's going to be a spare bedroom off to the side. I think at first I thought it was going to be a bathroom, but it ends up being a spare bedroom. And then where I have the spare bedroom downstairs, that's actually going to be an office. And then upstairs, there are 3 bedrooms, and there's going to be 2 bathrooms. There's a hall bath, and then there's going to be an ensuite as well, because the primary bedroom was actually massive, and I thought it made more sense to shrink it and add a bathroom in that space. But this is going to be where the kitchen is, and you can see this room here where I was thinking the bathroom would be is going to turn into a larger room for a spare bedroom. We just take a while to get to that, but this is the layout the kitchen is going to have. I also decided to have it be a step down to make the counters and stuff fit in here better. So there are a couple of different platform levels throughout the house, but I really liked that. I feel like it just adds some more interest to the home as well. And then this is going to be the small bathroom we actually have that is in the center of the home. And we're going to extend this one out finally. So just figuring out the size of that now. And then I wasn't sure if it was going to be the bedroom or the office at first. But then I decided, since the windows to the front of the house look directly into the other room, that it made more sense that maybe that's the office instead of the spare bedroom. That just felt a little bit odd to me. I don't know if it feels odd to anyone else, but that's how I decided which one was going to be which. And then I'm placing down some doors. These ones are from Cats and Dogs. I do end up changing the swatch of them a couple of different times throughout the build. We ended up with a dark wood floor, and I kind of wanted it to match that, but I also used like a medium wood tone on the walls in certain areas. There ends up actually being quite the mix of wood tones in here, but I thought that made it look even cozier. You might not like it. You can let me know. But I was very pleased with it. I wasn't sure at first, but as I continued to combine more, I thought it came together. Anyway, just adding our fence and our railing for our steps. And then I think we're gonna decorate the kitchen first. I don't know why I even thought about that for more than 2 seconds. I always decorate the kitchen first. It's my favorite room to decorate in any build ever. So we always start here. And I actually ended up using this fridge from the kitchen clutter kit. It has a maple leaf on it, which I think is a nod to Canada, not autumn. But I decided it was for autumn because this is an autumn build. I liked the idea of having just a bunch of stuff tacked up on the fridge, and that one fit the color scheme quite nicely. And I love the tile that I used on the floor in here. I believe it's originally from The Sims 1 and was a reward item for the event in December last year, potentially, if I'm remembering correctly. So that's kind of fun. And then the backsplash is just a base game one. And this curtain, I love this curtain from Cats and Dogs. I've used it quite a bit. I have never even noticed this swatch. It's like orange, yellow, and purple, and it was perfect for this build. It feels so autumnal, but brings in another color. And I feel like purple can be very autumn-based anyway, but it was just exactly what I was looking for. And so the inside of this house actually ends up being very, very purple. And then the stools I have at the counter are green, so they don't really match any of the other colors in this room, but they still felt like they worked. Because I think of green as kind of like a neutral, so I really enjoyed those. But yeah, I'm just decorating the counters, getting lots of clutter in here, trying to make it feel lived in. We have cutting boards, we have some sunflowers. I love to add those in my autumn builds. I just think they're such a nice pop of yellow, and pretty much every room in this house has some sort of yellow flower, whether it's a sunflower or not. Oh, and I also got a pail of apples up on the island. I thought that was so cute and realistic. Going apple picking or something this time of year is so fun. Maybe your Sims could plant some apple trees outside. Or maybe is there a good way to do an apple picking business with businesses and hobbies? I will have to look through that if that's something you can put as an activity. I'm assuming harvesting could be a thing that you can add as a business thing. Maybe a apple harvesting or apple orchard this time of year could be a fun build to do. Let me know if that's something you would like to see. Maybe apple and pumpkins. Yeah, like a pumpkin patch and apple orchard. Oh, I love the idea of that. I think that would be a really fun one. Anyway, rambling aside, we are moving into the dining room where I got to use this swatch of these chairs from, are they Cats and Dogs or Seasons? I think they're Cats and Dogs. I've never used this swatch because I've never had a room that the little purple flowers fit in, but they worked so nicely with the curtains that I had to use them. I mean, it's all pretty much from the same pack, but I just never had the opportunity to use that swatch before. So I was very excited about it. And then this is the door that has that little pathway over into the garage. So I just wanted to have a little end table here. I ended up actually using this Tiffany lamp everywhere in this build in that swatch because it's like a creamy orange and purple. So it worked perfectly. You're going to see that lamp 1,000 times. And then I combined a couple of these hutches over here from Cottage Living, and I'm going to be replacing some of the items on the bottom shelf just so it doesn't look so repetitive. And you can see all the items everywhere right now. That was just me filling up the slots so not everything would snap to the spots I didn't want it to, because I was just trying to cover up the little basket and some of the books on one side so it looked different. I think it worked out okay. It just looks a little funky at first. And then I decided to actually extend the size of the bathroom because I thought the shape of this room had this awkward corner I didn't know what to do with. So by bumping it out by one, it felt like it had more of an easy way to lay it out. So I just ended up having a side table over here with this beautiful portrait or I guess it's not a portrait. I mean, maybe it's got dogs in it. It's a portrait of many dogs. Anyway, this is like the back hallway space that leads you to the backyard. So over here, I just have a place to hang up some coats and a mirror. And then I'm realizing I forgot to put the flower boxes on a bunch of the windows. So we're just fixing that and laying out the pathway over to the walkway. And now we are finally working on the living room, and I immediately ended up using these couches from Growing Together. The swatches were just too perfect. They're purple and red. I just needed that. And I thought I was going to use the red swatch of this rug because I've never used it and I thought it looked really nice. But then I swapped it to the purple one and it looked way better. So I had to. So once again, a lot of purple in this house. This feels very autumn themed, but I also feel like this just could be a color scheme somebody picks for their house. I didn't want it to be like too over the top decorated. That's why I went for more so the color scheme. But I think a decorated one would be fun as well. But I'm more so likely to do that for a Halloween build than an autumn one. And I'm excited to do some more of that next month. But yeah, just decorating the side table next to the couch and getting some artwork hung up in here. And I also ended up using this like hallway table from For Rent that has an attached mirror. It is so pretty. I always forget this item exists and I was really excited to include it. And then I also added a couple of pumpkins, some of these like decorative vases or statues, and a small candle as well. And then over by the entryway, I just wanted to make sure we had a table to kind of like throw your keys on and stuff. Although I end up hanging up the thing to hang your keys on the other side of the door. So I guess that's not where you're going to throw your keys. But I did put like a purse up here and some boots, some more sunflowers, and some packages, you know, just like stuff you might find by the front door and some decorations. I love the Grange mudroom kit. I'm so happy to have that purse and the boots and some new shoes. There's just some really beautiful items from it. And I used quite a few of them in this build in different areas, including that mirror by the front door, that arched one. It really looks perfect next to that door since they have the same sort of arch. And then I have a little map by the door as well when you're first walking in. It also had the exact colors that I was going for, and that one's from Cats and Dogs. And that's pretty much it for the living room, and we're heading on into the downstairs bathroom. All of the bathrooms pretty much look the same, although the one in the primary bedroom, the ensuite bathroom, that one just has a standing shower, not a shower tub combo, as there wasn't a lot of room in that room. But I wanted to have a extra bathroom. But yeah, in here I just used the base game shower tub combo. I am going to be changing the swatch to be a black tile instead. It just felt a little bit moodier and cozier, so that's what I ended up going for. And then I should be hanging up some more towels in here as well. And I think that's it for that room. Pretty cute, pretty simple. And now we're moving on into the garage. In here, I heavily used the restoration workshop kit as it's basically a garage kit. So I have a lot of the different pieces in here. There's lots of tools and the lighting. I'm also going to be changing the wallpaper to be the garage wallpaper. It's so perfect. Right now, I just have the brick, which looks okay, but I love what I ended up putting in here because it just feels like every garage you've ever seen. I also made sure to add laundry in here. There's an extra sink, some hampers, and lots of storage space. I know it's not space your Sims are actually going to store anything, but it looks like it. And here is that bike I had mentioned. I also got the decoration box. There's going to be some chairs over in the corner from the Basement Treasures kit. That one also really comes in handy for garages. So I got some like boxes over here that have a little bit of water damage, maybe just some items that they're storing. They want to keep all of the old fun stuff from high school, but you know, they don't really want it in their main space. It's just stuff you want to keep, but you don't want out. I know I have lots of that. It's mostly in the closet in my office because I don't know where else to put it. I live in a small apartment and there's not really that much space. Anyway, moving on into our office, I really loved that I had space sort of for these bookcases, but they were a little bit too tall since this room was on a platform. So I actually ended up having to get rid of them in the end because they clipped into the room above. I tried scaling them down and they just felt a little bit off. So I decided to just use different bookcases, which is nice because they're ones I don't use very often. And I thought that they worked really nicely in this space. And then there's also a sofa in here and a gallery wall up above it. It's just like a cozy bonus room. You could turn this into another bedroom if you wanted, maybe an art studio, a gym. There's so many different options, but I made it into just a bit of a office space. I also at this point decided they would have a pet. I guess it's probably a dog because I didn't add a spot for a litter box anywhere in this house. I just have food bowls and a bed. So you might want to get the doggy some toys or the kitty a litter box. Those are some options, but I just put down a couple of items to hint at having a pet. And then this is the spare bedroom. I am using this beautiful purple bed from Seasons, which is not a bed I use super often. I like a couple of the swatches on it, but a lot of them are really weird, so I don't use it very often. But it matched really well with the curtains that I had in the rest of the house, and I tried to use that swatch in most rooms. I didn't end up using it in the kids' bedrooms upstairs because I wanted to switch up the color scheme for the kids' personalities, but the primary bedroom does have the purple curtains that are in the rest of the house. But yeah, just quickly working on the upstairs bathroom now, bringing up a bunch of the items that were downstairs to make it all look cohesive. And I also swapped out the end counter pieces to be the corner ones instead because I just thought it looked a little bit more realistic for a vanity that doesn't go all the way to the end. And I added some pumpkins in here. They're not everywhere in the house, but I think a couple of places it looked nice, and putting them in the upstairs bathroom I thought was really cute. And of course, I wanted to make sure there was space for you to put your toothbrushes, and I got some towels in here as well, and, toilet paper, all the basic things. And I used the same bath mat in all of the rooms. It's actually the end pieces of a runner rug. I think that one is from Vampires, and it's just really pretty. And then for the hallway, it's really simple. I didn't do much. I put a rug and a painting, and that is it. But here we are finally heading into the primary bedroom where I try a few different beds before we get to the one that I end up using, which is this one from, I think, Growing Together. I might be wrong on that, but I do love this swatch. It's purple and red, so it's exactly what I was going for in this entire build. And you can see me adding the other bathroom over here for the primary and how it didn't really have space for a shower tub combo because it would have blocked the window. So I just have the standing shower in here and pretty much all of the same decorations that the other bathrooms have. I decided to keep them all in so you could see the process and the little differences between them. And then that corner space is where I'm going to be putting kind of like a walk-in closet. I just ended up putting 2 of the tall closet pieces from the mudroom kit in there. It's very simple, and I think I add a mirror as well. We'll go in there shortly. And of course, I am placing down those same lamps that I used in every other room, except the kids' rooms. They're going to have different lamps, but I thought that they were so perfect. I loved how they looked, and it made sense to me that they might have bought a bunch of them for every room in their house. Granted, Tiffany lamps are very expensive, but I do really like them, so I decided it was fine. It's The Sims. Maybe these Sims are incredibly rich. I'm not sure. Speaking of which, I don't even remember how much this house costs, but that is always in the description as well. I put like the size of the lot, what lot it's supposed to go on, what it's called in the gallery, all of that, and the price. So that'll be in the description if you'd like to see it. But just cluttering up the bedside tables now, getting some like books and plants and alarm clock, a place to put your glasses. There's also a basket of blankets next to the chair in here, which I thought was really cozy. And then I am picking out the beds for the kids' rooms to get an idea of what I want them to be. One of them is very blue and the other one is like pinks and oranges. So that one's a little bit more fall themed, but I would actually say the blue one came out very fall themed because I put a lot of the like autumn arts and crafts in that room. I had a concept of what I thought these Sims were into. They've done a lot of the arts and crafts in school and in probably like scouts. I think I put a scouting board in here, but one of them is really into sports, specifically soccer. And the other one is into void critters, but they have matching beds. And I was thinking they were twins. So I just had fun decorating this space with a mixture of crafts from scouts and their interests. You can clearly tell which side likes sports and which side likes void critters. And I actually ended up putting the void critter battling station in here as well, which is not something I use very often. I just feel like it's kind of a bulky item and needs to be in a space where you can access both sides, but I really liked the idea of it. And also it might partially be because It's pretty much Pokemon in The Sims, and I just got back into my Pokemon Go account after not being in it for like, let me see, 7 years. And I'm currently incubating an egg that I caught in 2016, or caught an egg that I had in 2016 in Pokemon Go. If you don't know what I'm talking about, that's fine. But Pokemon has been on the brain because of that. Anyway, here is a little activity table and the scouts board. I also grabbed a toy box to put in here. I thought the one from Enchanted by Nature that looks like an acorn was perfect. It's just so cute. And then a little mirror, and that should be pretty much it for this room other than one last poster. And we're going to be heading on into the other room, which is more so for a teen and has a very interesting color scheme. Once again, I've never used this shade or this swatch of this curtain either, the red and yellow. I just thought it was really cool. And I was kind of imagining that this sim was into art, but maybe more so digital art. I was thinking they're pursuing that as a career, but they do have some physical art things in here because as somebody who went to school for graphic design, you're kind of required to do all of the physical art stuff too before you get into the rest. So there's some of that. I have this little shelf in the corner that has some paintbrushes and stuff on it from the Artist Studio kit. I also decided that the sim could have the little fox lamp because I've talked at length about how much I love this and that you don't have to be a child to have it. So this teenager has it and probably loves it. I assume it probably has a name. I would definitely name that if I owned it. And then here is the desk space where I have a sketch pad for them as well as a computer that looks like a tablet. That is from the Pastel Pop Kit, I think is the name of that one. And then I just got a little pride flag in here and a mirror, and that should be it for that room. And we are finally heading outside to finish up our landscaping and finish up this build. So I got some more of the low-lying plants back here and some more pumpkins, a couple of planters, and the backyard's going to be fenced in, and I'm going to have a couple of activities out here. I definitely wanted to add a swing set. I just think that is such a cozy thing to add. And I also was very adamant about adding this little stump that came with cottage living that bunnies come out of because, well, I really wish we had pet bunnies in the game. This is the closest we're probably ever going to get. And the day I'm posting this, the first day of fall, is my Rabbit Wednesday's birthday. I posted a bunch of pictures on Blue Sky and on Instagram. And she turns 9 today. So I really wanted to put bunnies in this build, even though it's a little bit odd for autumn. So that is why. But yeah, just finishing up the backyard. I placed down an area for your Sims to roast marshmallows. There's also a place to like make things on the grill and seating. The slide, of course, and I placed down this blanket as well. You can have picnics on this or your Sims can woohoo on it. It's up to you. But that is pretty much it for this build. I really hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, make sure you give this video a big thumbs up. You can also subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see more and click that bell to be notified when I upload. And a massive thank you to my YouTube members for your continued support. If you'd like to become a member yourself, you can click the join button below the video or the link in the description. Please enjoy the screenshots and I will see you all in the next one. Bye everyone.